All right, let's go. All right. Tim, I'd like to read something, all right? Buffalo's Ryan McLeod scored his third goal of the game in the third period. He was on a breakaway on the empty net, and Brent Burns broke his stick. The puck missed the net, but because he was in the open net and a breakaway, instead of a penalty shot, he was awarded the goal, so he scored a hat trick without putting the puck in the net, and the Sabres didn't have a shot on net. It's hard to believe.
That's right. They didn't have a shot on net, but still scored.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So a lot of stuff happened this week in the NHL. That was kind of the crazy ones, but we'll go to the questions. I'll get the first one down here. It says, okay, Dad, this is a big thing because a lot of people from Vancouver are asking. Yeah. This is from OrcaFan23. Grapes, what's happening in the Canucks? All I hear about is Pettersson and JT Miller. Why don't they get rid of both of them? Who would you trade? And can the Canucks make the playoffs?
You cannot force a trade. You know you won't get back the talent that Miller's got. You won't get back what Pettersson's got. So when you force a trade, you don't get back. You never get the full value. That's why they don't. That's why they're not being traded. And didn't Miller say he wanted to stay there?
I don't know. Both of them say, "Oh, I love Vancouver. I want to stay." But like, what do you got? Like, what is it with those two guys?
I don't know.
But I just.
And you see, Miller changed the seat. He was getting heck from talking, and he changed the seat.
Yeah,
went to the end.
The other players must be getting pissed off.
Yeah. All you hear about is those two guys.
So do you think Tocchet can straighten this out and they make the playoffs?
Well, if the guy doesn't want to go,
Well, send them home. Send one of them home.
Well, I don't know.
So who would you keep? If you could keep one, who would you keep?
I'd keep Miller.
Oh, for sure I'd keep Miller. What about you, Dale?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like you see, he's the kind of guy you need in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Pettersson's, he didn't have a good year last year, and he has an okay this year. But
he had a good year 2 years ago.
Yeah, when he was playing for a contract, he had a good year. And then he signed the contract, didn't have a good year. I guess he's coming around. But you need the JT Millers. I'm just surprised that somebody
doesn't trade him out.
Doesn't offer a lot. Because JT Miller, he'd be a good guy to going into the playoffs.
Oh, he'd be dandy.
Okay, Dal, we got a lot of questions from X, or what do you call it now?
Oh, yeah, X, no longer Twitter.
Twitter,
yeah.
Yes.
Do you think he'll buy TikTok?
Something will happen.
Somebody will scoop it up?
Yeah.
All right, JetBlueFan37. Hey, Grapes, right now, who are your picks for the Vezina, the Norris, and the MVP?
Well, the Vezina, it's got to go to Hellebuck if he keeps going the way he is. I mean,
it's not even close, really.
Yeah, it's not even close. Norris, Cale Makar has 13 goals. I know these guys. Number 2, Quinn Hughes is with Vancouver. He got 13. He's plus 13, and Josh Morrissey is plus 4. Got 40 points, and he's plus 2.
Man, you never hear of him.
No, you never hear her.
But he gets lost. He gets lost in Winnipeg.
He get lost.
I think they'll give it to Makar, though.
Yeah, Makar will get it.
Yeah.
He'll get it again. But he'd be like Bobby Orr. Won in 8 years in a row.
Yeah. So the toughest one, Dad, MVP right now.
I still give it to David.
Would you?
Yep. He's plus 13, and he's got 64 points. I think he'll come through.
Yeah. What do you think, Dal?
McKinnon?
Yeah.
Well, he never won it before.
McKinnon did.
Did he?
Yeah, he won it once before. I'm thinking Draisaitl. He leads the league with goals, and he's got 31 goals, and he's the biggest plus in the league. But so talk about McDavid. Do you see that little cross check he gave last? You think he'll get suspended?
He's getting trouble. No, he won't get suspended.
They'll fine him.
No, they won't fine him.
No.
You'll get reprimanded for doing it.
A severely written letter.
A stern talking to.
Severely written letter. And you call him Mr. Campbell, too. You didn't call him...
Yeah, you got some severely... Some letters written from him.
Oh,
to
I
you.
got some. I had.
Mr. Cherry, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So one of the worst ones, Dad, was letters you got was after Bobby Orr and Stan Mikita in Chicago
In an exhibition game.
got into a stick fight, and you said they were really swinging it.
And they were really swinging. They were trying to hit one another, and Joe Crysdale, or something like that. He said, I was late for the conference. I forgot what you said. I said, you want to good? I said, here's what I said. I said, send it back to Czechoslovakia in a pine box. About a year later, I had to fly out west.
Well, it wasn't a year later. It was right away they got mad at you. Yeah, but I remember you were saying in the letter that Clarence Campbell said that, you put the Bruins in a situation. He says, what happens if one of the Bruins really did hurt?
Yeah, and he did have to go back. I never said nothing. I just kept my mouth shut. and when Stan Mikita, he turned into a sweetheart.
Yeah, he led. What was the thing he led, like the NHL in penalties 2 years in a row, and then all of a sudden he won the Lady Byng?
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's a crazy story. Like he was kind of a dirty little rat, right? And getting all the penalties, and then he said, "No, I'm not going to do that anymore," and he ended up winning Lady Byng. So Clarence Campbell wrote you a letter, a severely written letter saying,
it's a severely written letter. I should have kept them all.
Well, speaking of that, I brought a gift. It's all from your time at Boston, little club roster cards showing who's playing, if they're out, they're injured, and of course in the Don Cherry way. On the back, they've got all your little notes.
Oh, look at that.
Tim, you signed a couple too.
Got his 40th goal. Oh, look at that. Bobby Orr got his 40th goal.
Imagine getting 40 goals.
On a hat trick. The Bruins won 8-2 over the Capitals.
Oh, it looks like I was scribbling at the top.
All the doodles, keeping score of shots on net and everything.
Oh, Tim Cherry.
Yeah, that was my job. I was the statistician.
Were you? I can see on the back of a couple you're trying to write your name in different ways. You got bored.
You got 3 assists and Savard got a goal. Hey, that's pretty good. We'd have to look these over.
Yeah.
You have to look those over.
Okay, Dal, we got another one from, looks like from Boston. Boy, what a game last night, Boston and Ottawa.
3 seconds to tie. 3 to 4 seconds.
Yeah, to tie it. They were up by 2 with like 3 minutes. 3 minutes to go, and they lost.
And they lost.
Yeah,
that's crazy. All right, Bearboy4 from X. Coach, will the Bruins make the playoffs? What happened to their defense? Only 4 teams have given up more goals. So are this season one of the worst power plays in the league?
I would say the Bruins are going to make the playoffs, and the way they played last night for 2 periods, they looked pretty good last night.
2.5 periods, yeah.
2.5 periods. They looked pretty good last night. I would say that the Bruins are going to make the playoffs.
But why can't they score? They're in the bottom. I think they're 25th in scoring, and they're goal differential. Mm-hmm. There's only 3 teams that have worse goal differentials than Boston.
I'm still going to stick with Boston.
Yeah, I just can't. They just gotta. I just can't see past.
Well, they looked pretty good last night.
Yeah, they looked right up to the
two periods last night.
Yeah. So that was Montreal. That put Ottawa ahead of Boston in the playoffs.
Moved them a bit.
And then if Montreal, that was a tough loss for them because they would have jumped ahead of Boston if they won.
Yeah.
Okay, Dad, we got a question from way in the past. This is B. Barron. Hey, Grapes, why didn't you pull the goalie when Sittler was scoring all those 10 points in Toronto?
I would have had to put Cheevers in, and I looked at Cheevers, and he put the towel over his head. And he just got back from the WHA.
He hadn't played a game.
He hadn't played a game, and the next night he got a shutout.
So Davey Reese was the sacrificial lamb.
Davey Reese never played again again in the National Hockey League.
Man. And he had a shutout. Like, he was not, I don't know if he might have had a 500 record, but he had a shutout. So it wasn't like he was some flunky. But boy,
he was good. He's living in New York, I think, somewhere now. Up in New York.
Yeah.
I know where he's.
Should I tell the joke that Daryl Sittler told about him? About the train?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so Daryl Sittler told a joke all the time. He says, after the 11 goals were scored on, Sittler had 10 points. He says, Davey Reese was really depressed, and he was all, he couldn't take it anymore because it was in the press and they're making fun of him, so he decided to end it all, and he jumped in front of a train, but it went between his legs. But one of the craziest things that night, Dad, was...
Al Sims was +2.
That's 2, and Bobby Schmatz and John Rattel
+4.
were +4 on a game that you lose 11-4. How does that work?
Stayed on the bench.
I don't know.
But Rattel had 4 points. Schmatz had 4 points.
Yeah.
Johnny Busick had 3 points. But
Al Sims was +2.
But +2 on a game. Boy, I imagine Doki and Brad Park and Ricky Smith were... I think the biggest minus was Cash. I think he was -5. But your strategy worked with Cheevers because you played the next game.
Played the next game. Got a shutout. 7-0. I never forgot that game.
Okay, we got from Puck Bucket 22. Hey, Don, do you remember your first and your last goal in your career?
I remember the first one. It was just a shot on net. It was nothing. It was just a shot on net. But I remember my last goal. The power play wasn't working for Rochester. I was playing for Rochester, or I was sitting on the bench for Rochester.
You were playing. You were sitting.
I was sitting on the bench, and I sat there the whole game. And he said, "Okay, Cherry on left point and play the." I said, "Dear God," I said, "don't make a fool of me, please." And the puck come and face off. And I dig to the left, I dig to the right, and I went in on the goaltender, and I faked, put the shot up on top, and he went for it, and I put it in, and I skated to the bench. I often wonder if those guys let me score. But
you were having a good year that year.
I started out having a good year.
You started out having a good year. You were leading the team in points.
I was leading the team in plus minus, and I was leading the team in goals. And
but they had a rule back then. You can only have so many players
over 26.
Over 26. So you were in your 30s. So
and I was in the 30s, and I remember him phoning me, and he said, "Don, you're not making the trip to the south." And I said, and I hung up the phone, and I said to Rose, I says, "I'm finished." She says, "What do you mean you're finished?" I said, "I'm finished." That's a stupid rule. That really is a stupid rule.
And a month later, you were coaching the team.
Yeah. I was a couple of months later.
A couple of months later, you're coaching the team.
Okay, we got from Vinny Puck 1. Hey, Don, my 9-year-old daughter wants to start playing hockey. What is the most important first step in her learning the game?
Well, the first step is learning how to skate.
Oh, yeah.
She probably can skate pretty good. Next, to handle a puck.
Yeah. I'm not knocking women's hockey. Okay, I'm not saying that. But there is a big difference when you watch the professional women, the top line, maybe top 1 or 2 lines. They're much better skaters than the next 2 lines. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the one thing that Hockey Canada should be focusing the girls on is skating.
They should learn how to skate and be a good skater.
Okay, Dad, we're going to have one last question before we wrap it up.
All right, Hockey Mom 1322. Hello, Don. Love the podcast. Do you think it's time for the NHL to have more teams in the playoffs?
I do, because they packed them in, and no matter who, if they just squeak in, they pack them in. And I think they should have more teams in the playoffs.
Yeah, they'll have to figure it out, right? Like how would they do? Like either somebody's going to have to get a bye, or they're going to have
I had a bye that one year. Boy, it was awful.
Yeah.
I put $50.
You just can't keep them interested, right?
You can't keep them interested. They just don't. Their mind's not on hockey.
Yeah. And the one thing with hockey too is one of those teams, if you add, could squeak in, and the goalie gets hot, and they could go right to the finals.
Oh yeah.
Well, remember LA did
LA
that.
did that, right? So it's not like you kind of watch. There's some upsets in the NFL, but normally the favors win, and the same in basketball. Very rarely do you see an upset early in basketball. But, the whole thing with hockey is you just get a hot goalie and a hot power play, and you could go pretty deep.
Get a hot goalie. That's the main thing, is get that hot goalie. And if you could get him, you get that hot goalie, boy, you got it.